As you all know, well, not all of you, but most of you, no. I have ooze. Tawney has a jar of black ooze. It's a jar of black goop, according to the tag. It says vial of black goop, but I think we need it upgraded to jar or pot of black goop. It's big. And it's named Inky. It's an ooze. It eats things. And it burns people. Great. Super great. It's an ooze. And a lot of you are heavily invested in the welfare of this ooze, and I understand why, because I also am invested in the welfare of my pet ooze, Inky. So, stories of the ooze this weekend. I was feeding it, as you do, you know. Open the lid, put some food in there, close the lid, watch the ooze eat the food. And there was an NPC played by my friend Kristen. The NPC's name was Penelope, and she's an Ajanti trader, like a merchant. And she wanted to buy the ooze. She goes like, "Oh, that's a very interesting pet you have there. Would you be interested in selling it? I have some gold." And she like, you know, rubs 2 coins together basically towards me, and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna sell the ooze. I'm not gonna sell Inky. That's like asking someone if they want to sell their pet bird. You don't do that. And she goes, "Yes, we do. Lots of people sell their pets for the right price, you know. They can't take care of it properly." And I'm like, I'm taking care of it properly. Don't tell me I'm not doing it right. And she's like, "Well, I know a mage in Dominion who knows more about these things than you do or I do, and we can send it away, and you know, you can learn about it. The mage will be able to take care of it well." Tawny's like, "Well, I want to learn about it, but I don't want to leave it by itself. I gotta take care of it. So I'll go with you and we'll see the mage, okay?" And she's like, "Well, he's in Dominion. It's very far away." I'm like, "Oh. Well, you can't have it. It's not for sale." And she's like, oh, all right. "Is there any price you might sell it?" And I went, 50 gold, which is like outrageous, like exorbitant, like crazy. And she goes, forget it then. I still want it, but I'm not going to pay 50 gold. That's crazy." And she was trying to like bargain for it all game, but I wouldn't give it to her. I don't want to sell something like out of game. In game, my reason is Tawny loves it and she doesn't want to give it away. Out of game, I don't want to sell something that could become a plot point for me. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to just be like, "Oh, gold," you know? There you go. Here's that, you know, there you go. There's my plot for gold. You know, I don't want to do that out of game. So it would have to be a lot of gold. But anyway, other stories of the ooze. I told Bryce, the shaper in charge of my goo, how much, RM, alchemy raw materials I've been feeding the thing. And he's like, "Oh, how many have you fed it, like, all together?" And I went, like, 10. He was like, "This game?" I'm like, "No, overall." He was, "Oh, okay." So it's sort of bigger and goopier, you know, and the thing is, when you open the lid now, it doesn't automatically try and get out if you have food to give it. So if you open the lid and you have food, it sort of waits for you to put the food down and then it eats it. It doesn't try and escape. If you don't have food, it'll probably try and get out or get your hand or whatever, but if you have food, it doesn't leave. It doesn't try and get out. I was like, yes, I'm training it. I'm training it. Woo. You know, I've tamed it. I've tamed it a little. Um, yeah. So progress is being made on the ooze taming front. Um, if you have food, it doesn't try and get out. It just waits for you to put the food in there, and it is even docile enough when you put the food in there that you might be able to get some of the like ooze goop out of there, like the leavings, like the dead parts, like the slime, So I have black ooze leavings as part of my alchemy now, that I've been putting in stuff. Speaking of black ooze leavings, I have a profession in game, like a craftsman profession. You can buy a craftsman profession with your experience points, and what that allows you to do is either get silver or raw material. So you can get like three silver coins or 5 raw material. So I usually get 10 raw material a game because I have 2 levels of craftsman. So I'll get 10 raw material herbalism, and that's what I'll get. But this game, I got 5 raw material herbalism and 5 raw material black ooze leavings. And I use those black ooze leavings to make heavy intoxicant potions. These heavy intoxicant potions are in their own little jars. Let me show you one. It's a new jar that one of the players at game brought for me, and they're like, "Oh, I saw this and I thought of Tawney, and I wondered if you wanted them." And I was like, "Oh yeah, fuck yeah, new jars! I love new jars." Look at these things. Look at that. Isn't that cool? It's got like a little stopper. It's like a little 50-cent glass jar. Little stopper on it. Isn't that nice? Isn't that a cool little potion jar? I think so. But yeah, so I had these little potion jars that I put my heavy intoxicants in. And the heavy intoxicants I described as being made of berries and black ooze leavings. And you're supposed to drink them. Yeah, people weren't entirely happy with the concept or the idea when I told them what it was made of, but it does 10 stamina damage. It's incredibly potent alcohol, like incredibly potent. A regular drink of like a beer does like 1 or 2 stamina damage. This does 10 in one sip. 1 sip, 10 stamina damage. Super cool. It'll knock out even some of the fighters, like pretty close. So yeah, I made this stuff, and when people asked me what it looked like and what it smelled like, my descriptions for this stuff were, it looks like a red and black liquid, and the black is sort of like floating bubbly parts, like floating bloopy parts. And it's like red otherwise, and I would do stuff like, "Look, I made this. You want to smell?" And I would open it up and go like, "You want to smell?" And they'd be like, and then I'd be like, "No, smell." And I'd like put it up to their face, and then I'd go out of game and just be like, "It smells like bathtub rice wine mixed with grave dirt. Like it smells really bad, really strong, like really potent and really bad." And so I'd wave this jar in people's face, and they'd be like, "Tawney, why? Tawney, no, I don't want to smell it, Tawney." I'm like, "You could drink it. You could drink it. It's really good. It's super powerful." And they're like, "Well, what happens when you drink it?" Well, for me, when I drink it, I fall asleep. Fast. I get a little woozy, and then I fall asleep. And they're like, "Oh, that doesn't sound fun." And I'm like, "It's okay. It's good for naps." Close the bottle, put it away. So I made potions with some of my inert black ooze, so to speak, the goopy parts that are left over. So that was fun. It's fun to roleplay like these little things that really like bring the character out, bring the idea to a head. And I would, speaking of making people smell stuff, I would do that kind of thing all game because it's the kind of thing I think that builds immersion when you have to like pretend, that you're sort of experiencing something. Because there's no real bad smell, obviously. Like, I'm not actually wafting horrible stuff in front of people's faces. But trying to imagine stuff, I feel like, helps immersion, and helps the game feel real, feel organic. And I do stuff like I'll pick up like brewed ichor, like as a tag. It's like a tag that's like alchemical component brewed ichor. And then I'll be like, look! And you see like drippy goop off of my hand. It's like green gray. Look at it. You should touch it. Squishy. Look, like squishy. And smell. Mm. Stuff like that. All that kind of stuff. Um, you know, just try and like role play stuff organically. Like not necessarily have any input from plot or anything like that, but just kind of like create these situations where like that sort of stuff happens. Like when I'm going to like lick brewed ichor, off of my finger, everybody's like, Tawney, no, don't taste it, don't drink it, like that kind of stuff. Like, it's fine, I'm just tasting it, It's fun. It's cool. It's good kind of stuff for the world, I feel like. What other little extraneous stories do I have? Well, the final battle of this game was really, really tough. Really, really tough insofar as, like, it was waves upon waves of these brood insect enemies, and they just, like really tried to hurt us, Like, really wrecked us up. And at the end, Bryce said he was super impressed with the way we all organized ourselves and managed to fight it off, because he didn't pull any they as an organizational team didn't pull any punches this game. Like, everything was statted out as it was supposed to be. There was no, like, DM fudging, if you know what I mean. And if we couldn't kill it, we couldn't kill it. It had the resistances it had, and if we couldn't get around it, we couldn't get around it. And that was how it worked. So he was super impressed that, like, only 2 people died, in that last fight. It was really frantic, though. Because we didn't have any, magical healers, like people who had the healing magic sphere for some reason. Like, we just didn't have any, like nobody was there who had it. So healing was down to like first aid, which takes like a minute to like heal someone up and like like sew their wounds and bandage and all that, and then like another minute to actually heal them and for anything other than keeping them stable. It was really hard. And my potions were a huge factor, I feel like, in keeping people alive. There were some people I saved at the fucking 11th hour of their, like, bleeding out count. One of my friends told me that I saved them at 57 seconds out of 60 on their bleed count. So that's, yeah. Yeah, that was really, it was really, really frantic. And the insects, the big brood insects, were swinging for damage. Were swinging for damage enough that one attack would put me on the ground. If one attack got through and hit me, it would put me straight in the dirt. Like no questions asked. Like, I don't have enough health to survive more than one hit. So it was kind of. It's kind of scary, but also really, really cool. I fell down a lot. I think I was in my bleed count a total of 9 times during that last, like, during the game as a whole, but mostly during that last fight. It was like 9 times I was in my bleed count. It was scary, and you know what? It's really important that it be scary, because you can't handhold forever. You can't be in the easy zone forever. You can't, just because you're low level doesn't mean we don't send bad shit at you forever. Like, You're gonna face things that are too
Vigorously
strong
hug
for you.
them.
Daryl, thank you. Hearts, hugs. And that's kind of that, you know. I think it's really important that people who haven't played Underworld before, especially like people who are new-ish, like Xenostrand is the only game they've played, and they started whatever at game 1 or game 3, and they've only played Xenostrand, you know. I think it's really important that they understand that not everything is strong. I mean, not everything is possible to kill. Not everything is possible to defeat. Not everything is possible to stand toe-to-toe with. I know this because at Calidor it happens all the time. There's stuff with like a magic threshold and nobody with a normal weapon can hurt it. You know, like, rip. And you have to run. The only way you're going to live is if you run and hide. But at Xenostrand that hasn't really been the case yet. So it's kind of nice. It's kind of nice to see like, holy shit, there's some bad shit happening and it's gonna go sideways. You know, it feels like it's a minute from going sideways. Yeah, the one brood cave is literally run or you all die, and 3 people died. Yeah, because it was infinitely spawning brood coming from the ceilings and stuff. Yeah, it's a good way of putting it, like, exactly. You're not important here. The world is bigger than any and all of you. There are things far more powerful than you can even imagine, even if you were as powerful as you could be. You know? Which is crazy. So, yeah.